In a world that glorifies the grind, Selah is a sacred invitation to pause. Every other week, you'll find space here to slow down, listen inward, and remember who you are beneath all the noise. Through guided reflections, soulful conversations, gentle practices, and story-led journeys, Selah, a deep pause, offers rest. Not an escape, not to repress, but as a way to come home. This podcast is for those standing at the edge of change. You know who you are. The seekers, the sensitives, the high-functioning feelers, those ready to honor the quiet and reclaim their own rhythm. So come as you are, and exhale, then exhale again, and stay for the stillness. And welcome back to Selah, a deep pause. I have a very special show today because I have a very dear friend that's come in. He's been a big part of holding my hand in holding space. So what I'm going to do before I introduce Slade is just kind of have you feel into Slade and what he represents for a lot of men. So let me get us started with that. Before we begin today's conversation, I want to invite you into a different kind of listening. Today isn't just a story. It's an experience of witnessing a man. Sometimes when you look at a man standing in front of you, especially a strong, grounded, maybe somewhat intimidating looking man, you may think that we understand who he is. We see the exterior, we see the strength, and we feel the presence. But what we don't always see is what shaped him. The pain, the confusion, the moments that could have broken him, but instead became a part of what built him. So today, my dear friend Slade is joining us. And if you meet him on the street, you might see a big burly guy. Someone might look at him and think, man, this guy can handle anything. And in many ways, I'm sure he can. But underneath all that, there is a story of deep pain, of survival, and ultimately, his transformation. Slade didn't come out to become a medicine man, and he didn't plan this path. But life and something greater had other plans for him. So together we have had the honor of holding Wachuma ceremonies and watching what happens when men get to soften and open, and when they get to remember. And today we get to witness Slade's story of what's possible, what could happen when someone chooses healing. So Slade, I'm so happy to have you here today.
I mean, you didn't tell me to get some Kleenexes, man. Thank you. What is this salty discharge? Man, thanks for having me. We've been friends now for 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
this path is not something I chose, that's for sure. It chose me. And, you just keep following source. Keep doing what you're told. If you'd have told me 10 years ago I'd have a greenhouse with 600 Wachumas in it, I'd have told you were crazy. And what is that? But, here we are. And it's truly an honor to carry this medicine.
Yeah.
It truly is.
It's an honor to watch you. It's been nice to have a front seat row to see you stepping into it.
Boy, that was a tough road. I was like a cat going into water on starting to serve, man. I just did not want to do it. And then finally, one of my friends kind of pushed me out of the nest, and here we are.
Just to give you guys a little background on how I met, actually myself and Tim met Slade. We met at our first Wachuma, at Tim and I's first Wachuma ceremony. Tim came in hot because he had so much resistance. He missed the first ceremony and showed up for the second one hot, just got in time. That's where I got an opportunity to meet Slade, connect with Slade, and he played such a big role Wachuma was not very kind with Tim, and I don't know that he had seen that before. He was not kind with Tim at all. And I remember scrolling back down the mountain to try to help Tim, and Slade got in the way and said, "No, ma'am, you don't get to save him this time." And he sent me right back up the mountain. And the rest is history. You were instrumental in helping Tim lay down the guy that had to rely on alcohol to numb and survive. That's where that version of Tim was put to rest.
I remember Tim was having some challenges. He was on all fours and in it. Grandfather was giving him exactly what he needed at that time. And I can't remember what I said something to Tim about don't throw up on my shoes, man. And he looked at me, and next thing I know, we started laughing. And Tim finally started coming out of it. And, sometimes these medicines, especially grandfather, will take you to this point where if you can't breathe through it, you better laugh through it because there's no other way you're going to get through it. You can resist it all you want, but eventually you've got to come through it. And that's why Tim will always be my shitty friend.
Oh my God. There's a
He will
reason for that.
he will always be my shitty friend, and I love him. And me and him have good banter, and it's great. It's been really fun to see his growth and change and becoming the man he should have been all along. But we got to get out of our own way. That's the truth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if we would have met you years ago, who was the Slade we would have met before all this?
Well, me and Tim would have been in a bottle in the back having a hell of a good time. As long as it ain't scotch, we'd have been doing just fine. I myself have struggled with alcohol over the years. Now I always laugh and say I now drink a week what I used to drink a night. And I'm okay with that. I'm a social drinker. I don't sit at home drinking by myself. But anytime that I feel like I'm drinking too much, I just stop for 30 days. I do whatever I need to keep that one in check. I wasn't near as gentle, as kind, as understanding. Didn't even really probably know who I really was at that point 10 years ago. That's the truth. Because I know we're going to end up at this point at some point, but I went through a really bad divorce. I made myself go to find a counselor, therapist. She had started working with Shaman Jean out of Albuquerque. And the next thing I know, I get an invite to go do Wachuma. And I'm like, I've always been a psychonaut. Let's go see what that'd be like. And I rolled into Albuquerque, and, Jean doesn't do medicine anymore, but she still does the shaman stuff. And I rolled in there with 12 people. I didn't know who they were. And 4.5 ounces later of medicine, they finally got me in it, and they had to come get me because I was out playing with the cloud, just having one hell of a good time. And, the most interesting part of that one was, so Gene and the other facilitator, we'll call him M, was there. And they started cutting energy cords off of me. And I just start feeling this flood of energy come back and flood of energy come back. And didn't think much about it at the time, but we get done with ceremony and I look at my phone. I bet there was 30 phone calls, messages, voicemails, all the things from all these people that I had not spoke to or had anything to do with in years. That felt all those cord cuttings. And that's when I was like, okay, there's something to this. Came back home, got in trouble as I woke up, didn't go to sleep till 4 a.m., woke up at 5, and I just left. I got home and was still seeing stuff. Should not have driven the 4.5 hours home.
Oh my gosh.
That's why now, after ceremony, I'm so on, hey, we all need to stay here. And that's from personal experience. About 6 months after that, did it again. After that one, I couldn't even touch meat for 30 days. Don't know why. It was the weirdest thing, and I've started following him around the country, and in 4 or 5 years, did San Pedro probably 40 plus times, I don't know. Took the
Mhm.
4 winds classes from Shaman Gene. I am a Mesa carrier, and started hanging out in Santa Fe and serving a lot and seen a lot, done a lot. Boy, we've healed a lot. And, the big thing about Wachuma, it's gonna give you what you need. I've had some ceremonies that were rainbows and unicorns, the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. And then I've had it when here I was going up in Colorado to learn how to make the medicine and thinking I'm just, all right, here we go. I did an ounce and a half and couldn't hardly get up off the floor for 12 hours. It's going to give you what you need at that time. Always.
Yeah. What big shifts have you had in your life? What are some of the things, that you've noticed that are monumental?
Not allowing people to feed off your energy is probably the biggest to me, and being very careful about who I'm around, who I interact with, who I allow in my life, even family members, even some people that were friends, not being so hard on myself. I've kind of had the mindset for quite a while now. I'm really just trying to do 1% better a day. That's it. Just 1%. And hopefully 1% a week sticks. I'll go to Vegas on those odds, because
Yeah.
it just adds up and we just keep trying. The one that really got me in realizing how big this stuff is in 2020. It would have been
Hmm.
June 20th ish of 2020. I was up in Colorado. We'd hiked up with him and he found me and I'm just bawling. And he goes, "What's up?" And I said, "If I let her go, she'll die." And he didn't really understand, but he started cutting cords. He tells me, "Hey, man, it was never your place to carry for her. And it was all about my mom."
Mm.
And 5 days later, mom killed herself.
Mm.
I knew a few days before when I saw her, and she just come out and just kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And I'm like, "For what?" And she started announcing, "Hey, mom, you and dad did the best you could. You've always done the best you could. It's okay." And then a few days later, got that phone call.
Mm.
And that one messed with my nog for quite a while because of letting her go,
Mhm.
but it wasn't mine to carry in the first place. But it also made me take a step back and realize this isn't fun and games. How real this really is, the work we're doing, the healing those deep layers, healing generational things. You know, that is what this is about. It's about healing the stuff that if we pay attention, our ancestors are around us cheering because they
Mm.
couldn't heal it.
Mhm.
But how thankful they are that we are. And one of my teachers, mom's health had started going. Dad had been gone for years. He goes, what did the old Indian chiefs do whenever they started being a burden? They went off by themselves and they
Mm.
just didn't come back. So, to me, there's a little bit of honor there. I can
Mhm.
see why things happen the way they did. I get it. I understand it. That's my logical medicine side. Don't think that there's not times that I still am not upset with mom.
Mhm.
I now can go into deep meditation or, working on some inner child stuff. And I'm okay with her being there now. Now that took God knows how much medicine to get there and self reflection, but here we are.
Mhm.
That's the biggest changes to me is seeing how real this is, having a lot of grace and compassion for everyone around us. Because I
Yeah.
wasn't a very graceful or compassionate guy a long time ago. Promise you.
Yeah. And that's what's so beautiful. It's just like, so you're healing. I've seen it so many times. You're able to go into a space with especially your high performers honestly, I really have seen it with the men because they're so used to being relied on. They're so used to always being the ones to provide, do all these things. So when they get home, they don't know how to be safe with their family. They don't know how to be safe or present at home. And when they're around an energy that knows how to protect that field, that can see them and invite them forward, even if when you're inviting them forward, they're going to have to walk through some gnarly stuff.
I use the analogy that a lot of times grandfather medicine is like a cat that's fixing to get a bath. You've already got your welding gloves on. The cat can go in gracefully, or the cat can go in kicking and screaming. It's still getting a bath.
I don't know if you own a lot of cats. I know some cats that won't get a bath.
But I'm just saying, I mean, I'll put the leather shirt on and some gloves. Let's go. But I guess we could.
Okay, Chrissy, you know where to send your cat.
I know
To get
some
a
cats.
bath.
But it's going to take you where it's going to take you, and you've got to go. And watching these big, powerful ex-military to billionaires to everything in between, and you sit there and you're watching in the ceremony, and there's times I've even told you, yeah, we better enjoy this lull because you can just feel it coming. It just feels like you'll see me during those lulls. I'll go off, lay back in the sun, do some meditation because I know what's about to happen. I'm just trying to enjoy it just a little bit before things get interesting. They get Western.
Yeah. So what else could
Man.
you share about your previous Slade? Anything else that would help shed some light that for men specifically going like, there's nothing for me or, you can't help me.
I've had a big business before, the money side, that drive, I've been the playboy, done all the things, all the drugs. It's not worth it. I'd much rather be in this peaceful path. And, something that for men especially, we're so used to being that protector and this and that. One of the hardest things I ever had to do was put the sword in the sheath. You don't have to always be wielding that sword. It's okay to be a warrior. You just don't have to have the sheath out all the time. There's a time and a place. And, I'm of the belief that we all have been all in different lifetimes. We've been the man, we've been the woman, we've been the child, we've been the grandma, we've been all of it. And so I think of masculinity and femininity like on a pendulum scale, and we swing into different sides of it. Like if Laura's going through something, she needs me to be in my feminine and hold her and be there for her and tell her it's going to be okay, and we work through it. But if somebody gets up and is causing a ruckus, they're going to cause a problem with another person there, I need to be in my masculine and step up and do that. But the key is to me in the day-to-day life changes has been trying to stay in that middle, to try to stay in that balance of the two. Because so many of us, our identity is in our masculinity and being strong, and I can take anybody out. But the most masculine thing I've ever done is ask for help.
Mhm.
And it's the hardest. Reaching out to a buddy and saying, hey, 10 years ago, things were rough, man. That divorce was horrible. Called one of my best friends, Dave, and I said, hey, get over to the house. And he goes, what? He showed up. Every one of my guns were lined up on the couch. Say, get them gone.
Oh.
About 3 months later, I said, okay, we're good. Bring them back. To me, that's true masculinity, is asking for help.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Because if you're going to do this work, it's going to get dark. It's rainbows and unicorns. No. You're going to have to face the shadows. You're going to have to go into the deep, dark stuff. And Laura will probably agree, the deeper and darker it gets, let's go.
Absolutely.
When it's time to remove some stuff, get some stuff moving, get them things done, let's roll. That's why we're here. And so much of this in ceremonies, and Laura's heard me say this, we sit down and I'm like, the hard part's over. You're here. You've made all but the last 10 steps of Mount Everest. You're here. How many times have we all been heading to a ceremony? The car goes on the fritz, a flat tire, your debit card quits working, yada, yada. I mean, all the things. I believe that's the dark not wanting you to get closer to the light.
No, it's the resistance. And you literally have to intentionally choose you and go, there is a shit show showing up in front of me, and I am still going to show up for me.
It gets like we're what, 10, 11 days out from ceremony? And today I was out mowing at that Frank Lloyd Wright house and I just stopped and I was like, not mine, because you're already feeling that energy. I was like, not it. That is not mine. And, I've been helping in ceremonies for 4 or 5 years, but really serving on my own for going on a little over 2. And one of the hardest lessons that first year was after you set one up and everybody commits, realizing, whoa, this ain't mine, man. I try to make sure from here on till I get down there, I try to stay as neutral as possible. I try not let anything get me wound up, not let anything get me down. I'll start packing tonight, just a little bit here and there. That way by about Monday or Tuesday, I'm done, except for groceries. Just because the energies get moving and it's gonna be a ride.
I'll have to share a video. I had 11 vultures stomping on my roof yesterday morning. I had to go outside and I walked out and they saw me and they didn't fly away. And then the trees were filled with them. There was 20 of them all around, but 11. But they were making such a racket. I'm like, what is on my roof? So I'm like, oh, ceremony's nearing. It's like, okay.
And we have to remember those things.
Yeah.
And I take it as when that happens, it's like, okay, we're on the right path. Okay. Electrical stuff on equipment is like my arch nemesis. And here about 2 weeks ago, it started. And I spent a week in my shop in an electrical disaster that a guy who'd been doing this for 30 years had never seen. And I just finally had to laugh about it and go, well, ceremony's coming. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
You get used to it. Oh my God, I love it. God, really, the biggest thing that I'm like, okay, what else do we talk about? Because I just want an invitation to go out for both women and men, but men really come to mind because they struggle to ask for help. They struggle to allow themselves to be seen. Like what you just said about the guns, it's like you were vulnerable and said, I'm going to call help and let myself be seen. This is where I'm at. It's huge.
I agree it is big for the men because Wachuma is that grandfather energy. He's going to put you on your knee. He's going to talk to you a little bit. He's going to stick a foot in your butt a little bit, nothing harsh, and just say, hey, go. But what I truly believe, what I was saying about the balance in the masculine and feminine, I think it's just important for the women because so many women have been through things that are unspeakable, that they've had to step into their masculine to protect themselves, to be the provider, all the things. I've been through things that I can't comprehend. I'm a man. I haven't been worried about, going outside and someone assaulting me or raping me. Or those are things that I have not experienced. So they've had to step way over here in their masculine where whenever they see, wait, it's so much more peaceful here because it's like the two sides almost fight each other, the masculine and feminine in all of us. Some of the biggest changes I've seen in women is they're like, oh, wow, all masculine isn't bad, even in myself.
So Slade, I think what Laura means, because I agree with you, men and women, we've all been through it. And I think what we notice in our circles is more women will come to it. More women are open to it. And we definitely have typically more women are showing up to ceremony than men are. And and I've seen men step in and go, "Nope." Like the cat, "Nope, not doing it." And just like a full 180 turn, leave, gone, never going to look at it again.
To the guys, what's the worst thing? You cry a little bit, you step into your feminine side, you learn to care, you learn to love. It's okay, guys. We need that.
Yeah.
We all do. Even myself. Laura's watched me bawl like a baby. It's okay. And one of my biggest deals, and it's really shifted, I would say, in the last year, and Laura knows a lot about that, is to create a safe place for people to heal their hearts, period.
Safe place to land.
And I feel like if we can heal here in our hearts, it just starts rippling everywhere. And, I'd gone up to a place I probably shouldn't have been early in my journey. I showed up and I knew something was wrong and I shouldn't have been there. Me and the facilitator just didn't really get along or hit it off. We did Aya, got up the next morning after a few hours of sleep, and we were in grandfather. And I had a block trauma come through and I pissed myself laying in the middle of the floor with everyone around, with 45, 50 people. I had two grown men pick me up, take me to my tent, help me change clothes. And I went back and back in the ceremony and no one said a word. That is the safe place that I want, to where I don't care what happens. I don't care, man, woman, whoever. If you need help to get to the bathroom to clean yourself up, let's go. Because trust me, the other side of that, getting whatever that block was priceless. It doesn't matter. Every one of us are going to go through the deep, dark stuff if you're going to do this work. And trust me, it's never been as bad as I thought it was going to be. There's been my first Wachuma, I'm sitting there and here comes in my mind, my ex-wife. And I'm like, here we go. And it's like I see a hand go, we got bigger stuff to worry about. And I was like, okay, it wasn't that bad. When I had been worried and worried and worried that that's where it was going to go and just stay there. It's never as bad as we think. We can't get in here too much.
Yeah.
We can't, even though we all do. Let me phrase that. We shouldn't.
Exactly.
And for the men out there, it'll be as gentle as it possibly can. Is it going to be perfect? No. Is it going to be challenging? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But guess what? That's okay. It's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah. And it's getting you into a place. I mean, even in looking for Tim, the biggest thing that when he tells his story is like, I had to literally finally surrender and ask for help because he wanted to put on the image of everything's good. I'm okay. I'm fine.
And
So
in that instance, since that's what Tim needed, grandfather gave him no choice.
you're going to have to ask it.
Absolutely.
Ask.
Because that's the only way, us big burly men, sometimes we have to get to that point. That's what has to happen, or we wouldn't get to that. And from that, you've heard this out of my mouth when I make the medicine, when I brew the medicine, when I serve the medicine, love and healing with grace and ease. Now I have added, stores, please give them the healing they need.
I love that.
That one right there, I was up in Taos serving and I served the first dose and I just said love and healing with grace and ease. And it was like going too smooth. I was like, something here ain't right. I was just like, this ain't normal. Okay. And something clicked in my head. So whenever I gave out seconds, because I'm a firm believer, let's ease on in there. Let's don't just slam people. Now there's people that need it, but and I said, love and healing with grace and ease. Stores, please give give them the healing they need. Gave that second dose. We had an afternoon. And it started with me. I ended up having to have a whole bunch of stuff removed off me. And I let it yell out in the Taos Mountains. It shook the ground. I mean, it's just how it goes. Even for myself, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's up to the medicine.
So, Slade, you talk a lot about being in the medicine. My thought process is a shit ton of the work that we do is outside of the medicine. It's in between.
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like for you? Like, what does integration look like for you? Or what do you, when you are dealing with the folks that are coming into your circle, what does integration look like?
To quote my teacher, remember, always tell everybody, remember, you just took something prickly. So for a few days, you can be prickly to the people around you. So be gentle with yourself and everyone around you. And honestly, the real ceremony starts the day after. It's how do you act and how do you bring this into your daily life? That I always try for myself. I'm lucky. I own a landscape company. I work alone. My biggest complaint sometimes is, man, I forgot to plug in my headphones. I have a really cushy deal. Thank you, Source. But I'll just make sure, like when I get back, before I leave, everything's lined out for a few days afterwards. Try to keep everything to where you can have some time to process. Be gentle with yourself. You just went and sat with one of the big master plans. There's big shifts. How are the people around you going to take that? How are they going to understand that how your frequency changes? And, so many times things will happen in ceremony. And then for a week or two later, you're trying to figure it out. And I believe that's the what. Don't get lost and try to figure out the whys. That will show up when it's supposed to. Just get up, be gentle, make sure you're staying hydrated, take your vitamins, do all your things, take your 5-HTP, take your magnesium, do the things that help you because when you're doing this medicine work a lot, it's like you're driving a Porsche. You're just wide open going to your adrenals and your dopamines. Take care of yourself. That 2 or 3 day after, you're going to come down a little bit. It always happens.
A couple days after, you feel like you're driving a Pinto. No longer driving a Porsche.
With no floorboard. We're Flintstone in it.
From Porsche to
we're
Pinto.
Flintstone.
That happens real freaking fast.
So to me, you do this long enough, don't let the highs get you too high and the lows get you too low. Let's try to stay here. And that integration to me is just, yes, we will all want to get done with medicine, come home, crawl in bed for 4 days. You know what I'm saying?
I'm all better now.
She is the light.
No.
She's running around on riding a rainbow unicorn just
till the unicorn falls off the rainbow because life is life and other people are other people and you just can't stay in that bucket. Because I've heard you say you meditate and
ish. I try. I do the best
no,
I
not
can.
like I'm saying like sometimes meditation for me is reading a book. So just being able to get quiet and see what you said, shut this down a little bit so that it's not spinning out and telling me all the stories that aren't true, but that integration piece or that how do I anchor in those moments?
Go get your feet in the dirt.
Yes,
pour
that's what I was
some
going to
water
say.
on
I
your
step up,
feet.
get myself in the grass, get my face get my face in the sun, get sun on my face, things like that, where it's like those little glimmers, I like to call them, because there's the Porsche and then there's the little glimmers of there it is. Okay, there it is. Bring me back to the breath. Bring me back to the okay, I'm good.
And sometimes meditation for me is getting out of town, finding a dirt road, go watch the sunset, go sit on the tailgate of a truck.
Pause.
Take a
pause.
deep breath.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's
Mhm.
important because I do believe a lot of people are like, "Oh, I can't meditate." But when I do those other things that you're talking about that bring me joy,
Mhm.
it's like those little pockets of joy, like that's the meditation. That's
Yeah.
the integration. That's the anchor that brings me back to me.
Well, and it's not rushing back into life full throttle again. And if you have to, okay, but please create moments to just I loved when the analogy of just sitting in the back of the truck, the tailgate, and just stare out into the sky, the birds. I mean, whatever it is that brings you joy, but find that pause. Because that's where the nuggets start to fall in. Otherwise, there's no space for it.
Yeah, and not judge it because like you said, it's some people are like, "Oh, I
Mhm.
have to meditate or I have to go do this." These are the
Correct.
prescribed things, and they're not. They're your
Mm-mm.
things. What are your things?
Like
Mhm.
last night, that new property that eventually we'll be doing some stuff at, I went out there. I checked on the water. I sat on the deck and
Mm.
it's, overlooking Powder Canyon and just, just
Mm.
okay. To me, with what I do, a lot of times I get into what I'll call working meditation. There's a yard that I mow every week that I've been mowing since 1997. Do you think that I think about anything on that yard? I could probably mow it blindfolded. But to me, that's a lot of that's working meditation. You're just work through the stuff. And another thing for a lot of people when they go do these ceremonies is, especially if their partner is or spouse didn't go, telling, "Hey, can I have some grace? Give me
Mhm.
a little break." And I know
Mhm.
that's tough because a lot of times the partner had to take care of 3 kids while you went and did this and come home and they need you to help. And that's life. That's when the real ceremony
Mhm.
starts.
I think
Mm.
it's interesting the identities, right? I've my biggest thing that I've rolled through is the different identities, and as I've been going through some other things over the last year or two, all of our identities that we have, they're usually like showing up to ceremony, being like, "What are we doing? What's going on?" And you got to figure out which one's driving the bus. And
Mhm.
then when you get back, all of a sudden, nobody knows how to drive the bus, and they're reacting to the world that we built. This is the world we
Mhm.
built. And you walk in, it's kind of like, this is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife. Like it is literally that song, letting the days go by. And it's just like, what happened? And to your point, if we are not learning new communication skills with folks that maybe it's just, the ceremony is not for them, but we've got to learn new things and new ways to
Yeah.
communicate and new ways to bring on those new identities because there's new identities on the other side going, come on, walk into it. Let's go.
Mhm.
This is it. Because that other one, those old identities, some of those don't serve you anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. In the communication, right there is key versus the drift that can happen.
Well, like I've got friends that I love dearly. I just can't really be around them much anymore. And that's okay. Guys that I guys that I love to death, and they were the best drinking buddies you could ever ask for. But I can't go be around that on a Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock and they're slobbering all over themselves. I can't do that anymore. And that's okay.
It sucks and it's okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. These changes happen, the shifts happen. It's all at the source, and we're just along for the ride. And we just got to do the best we can with it every day. I mean, there's times, somebody cuts you off and you're like, no big deal. They
And
might
there's
cut me off tomorrow. And then
and
I'm
there's
like,
other times.
you. And I was like, well, didn't pass that
Mhm.
test. The next day, I did okay.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, and I think one of the biggest things is so much grace and ease for yourself as you go through these big transformations and you go sit with these medicines. And, I'm lucky. We can get off this and I might go meditate in the greenhouse with all the cactus. That I have to remember I live in this energy 99% of the time. You're talking about people that couldn't be, walk into something. They're like, nope, gotta go. I've had people that can't even walk in the greenhouse. They're like, I can't do that. And I'm like, what? I can't go in there. We have to remember as we go do this and as we heal how much our frequencies change.
Access changes.
And it's going to agitate some people. And that's okay.
So, Slade, and do you run into folks who maybe don't have access to the medicine for whatever reason? And if you do, and they are looking to, walk this path, what are like your
Access and how.
maybe they can't afford it, maybe it just doesn't work with their system, whatever. Or maybe they're just like, I can't right now, but I want to start working my way there.
I Laura will probably agree with this. I've probably given away more micro dosings of San Pedro than I've ever sold. I will start people that way. I'll make a tincture, say, hey, start off with a few drops here and there. See how it feels with you. One of my last ones that I did in Santa Fe, one of my dear friends, she's got 6 kids. She's got some responsibility, going to nursing school and all the adulting things. And I just told her, I said, hey, if you can get to Santa Fe, I got you covered. And it's helped her tremendously. Yes, growing the cactus, making the cactus, doing the things, it's not a cheap thing to do. And I've got to at least break even, but I help people.
I think most
You,
facilitators do. If
Mhm.
when we rather people say I can't, say, okay, what's keeping you from it? Let's work something out because you rather make it available.
or, I've had people say that. I'm saying, I'll tell you what, I'll serve you, but when it comes time for dinner, can you help with the plates? Can you help go get the food ready? Dude, give them a half rate, whatever it is. Because there's certain people that I think, that play that card a little too much and they're used to everybody helping. And then there's people who truly need the help.
Mhm.
It's so you can't go out to dinner 2 times next month, but you can truly afford it. And then there's the person over here with 6 kids and going to nursing school. She really can't afford it, and that's some discernment. But just about anybody, I'll give them a tincture or make them a small tincture and say, hey, try this and see how it feels in your heart. Because, that's the big deal with San Pedro. It opens that heart like nothing I've ever been around. Because trust me, there was a fortress around mine because I had to be to survive.
Yep. Your little guy
And
survived a lot.
yeah, yeah, yeah. People ask, how'd you get so calm? And I'm like, "Phew, you knew what it took to get here."
Yeah.
But I think most facilitators will help people if there's truly
Yeah.
a reason they can't.
Yeah.
And,
100%.
try to keep things affordable. If you've got some people that are paying you really well, if you can help pass on a few more of those that you can help. Is that one of the cats that needs a bath?
Tucker will not get in the bath.
You look at the look. You don't you dare. Don't you
Don't even think
dare.
about it.
Come on, Tucker. Let's go.
And I'm also thinking more of like the folks that are like, they won't go near your greenhouse, the folks that just are trepidatious of medicine in general are who I'm thinking of like,
It's funny you say that. So what I've noticed the most, like in my friend groups and people that have just been around, me doing medicine and stuff, and they know what I go do. And then it never fails. There's always kind of a click, and they'll be like, man, I've seen a lot of changes in you. What's going on? It sometimes just doing the best we can every day to live that ceremony every day
Mm.
is the biggest thing to get a lot of people to change their mind. I fortunately or unfortunately, I've always kind of been a psychonaut. So for me, ooh, a new one, I want to try it. A lot of people are scared to death. They'll like look at you and say, oh my gosh, the uh, hardest things I've ever done is a 5 milligram gummy. And the next thing you know, they're sitting with grandfather. I mean, there was a friend of mine who had never done anything really. And he came to Santa Fe here a while back and he sat and changed his life, man. I still get a phone call from him once a month. Got a phone call this morning of all days from a lady that I had served last year. And she was one of those real hesitant, didn't know what to do. I said, well, just show up. If it don't feel right, leave. And she had one of the most amazing experiences, called and was like, when's the next one? Let's go. I think a lot of it is just our personal fear of the unknown.
Hmm.
And like I said earlier, it's never as bad as we think. I've been through some rough ones, blocked childhood memories, all the things.
but you've always come out the other side.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All of us have.
Hmm. Yep.
What's that saying? Even the worst, we've already lived through the worst days. Why don't we heal and have a little joy?
Right. Very true.
Well, I feel like this is coming pretty to a complete. Do you have anything else that you want to ask, Chrissy?
No, that was it.
All right. Well, we finally did this, my
I
friend.
know.
So I'm just going to take us through a very quick closing. And thank you for joining us. So,
Thanks for having me.
so as I sit here with you, and what I feel most, it's not just your story. It's the reminder that what we see on the outside rarely tells the truth of what someone has walked through. And that healing doesn't always look soft. Sometimes it looks like strength that has learned to finally feel. Yummy, yummy. Thank you all for joining us for another episode of Selah, a deep pause.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you for pausing with me. May what you heard settle gently in your body and stir something true within you. If this episode spoke to your soul, please subscribe and share with someone else who might need this pause as well. Until next time, come as you are, take a deep breath, and stay for the stillness.